So now that we got our basics down, it's time to get into more advanced stuff. So a small note about redstone. Redstone signals will not lose their power even despite going up. So this signal is 15 blocks. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It was still going the same height. Also, if you look at this, so redstone, if it's on top of a block like this, will actually power it. So as you see here, this redstone is connected to this redstone repeater. The repeater is actually powered from this, so it will actually go towards this redstone clock. Not redstone clock, redstone lamp. Sorry about that, guys. The same applies to this. So right now it is daytime, as you can see. This is what's called a daylight sensor. A daylight sensor and measures how much daylight is there. So right now it's at the max daylight sensing because it's reaching all 15 blocks. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Only max 15. But now let's set it to time set day. So now the sun's over there. So it's measured by the sunlight. So right now it's on a complete day. So as you can see, some blocks are powered, but not all of it enough to reach the lamp. So this is like a big thing to consider when you're working with daylight sensors. You can also do this to like actually set it like a night clock of sorts. So let's say you have some lamps going and you need to power them. You can actually power them through the system. So right now it's daytime. If you had a lamp at the end, as we do right here, because it's day, you don't need a lamp on. But now let's change it to night. So time set night. Also now it's nighttime. The daylight sensor isn't picking up any night, or rather it's picking up enough sunlight, which probably means the sun's setting, which means at that point it's getting dark. So you want to activate your lights before zombies start spawning, or just hostile mobs in general. This is when this comes in real handy. Now over here, this is actually on the topic of daylight sensing. So redstone torches, if redstone signal is sorry guys, if redstone signal is hitting a block with a torch on it, redstone signal is off, so the torch is on, because torches are always on. But then let's delete this for a second. Let's just say I'm gonna turn on this lever. That actually turns off the redstone torch. So that was a big thing which even I was learning. It took me a while to grasp, and after I learned it, it's a huge thing to carry on. This can help with all sorts of stuff, as let's say as right here, the lamp stuff, the night light, because now you have night lights going off. And this will actually come into play a lot when you're actually making redstone contraptions. So now we need to get into the topic of pressure plates. So there were 4 types of pressure plates. Let's start with 2 most simple ones. Stone pressure plates can only be activated by mobs, not just players, mobs, all mobs. So I'm gonna say on this. It goes up to 15 blocks as most redstone signals do, and it's reaching the lamp. Let's go. Wooden pressure plates activate the items and mobs. So understand this. Yeah, it works. Let's say I want to do this. That works too. But as you can see here, if I put it into a stone pressure plate, it won't do it. It won't do anything. Now gold pressure plates, if I stand on these, it will do okay straight. As you can see, there's some power coming out, but there's not a whole lot. And gold pressure plates are considered iron pressure plates, which means they're they're best for items. And gold pressure plates are considered light pressure plate. What does that mean? It means that items can actually, there are less items needed to actually power it. So let's just get the stacker here. So this is how many I'm gonna need to power it. I'm gonna need 1. Please say sorry about that, guys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Are these staying on? So, oh yeah, that's like a weird thing in Minecraft, like piles will stack. So let's just throw this and see what happens. This is weird because usually 1, 2, 3. Okay, I need a different block. Sorry about that, guys. So 1, 2. Are you kidding me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. As you can see, 14. So right now there are about 14, 15 blocks on that pressure plate. So light pressure plate, one separate item, because items have a tendency to stack, will equivalent to about 1 redstone today. Now, iron pressure plates need a lot more items because one does not equal one redstone does. So let's say I'm gonna throw this on. That's 1, 2. It's off. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I already do that. Let's pick some new stuff. Have this no block. 9, 10, 11. I took 11 blocks to get to 1 string, which means in order to actually cover, in this case 15 dust, you would need, sorry guys, I didn't think about this, 11 times 15, 30, 40, 50. You would need around 115 blocks, or greater than that amount, to actually reach the amount needed at 15 dust. Now, iron pressure plates, though, they can go as far as they want, because they're not actually limited to a certain dust number. So if you feel like you can make these go as far as you like, you have enough items to. Now, next up is the idea of redstone blocks, which are basically redstone torches, except they cannot be turned off. Makes sense, they're blocks. So just one up right there. And now we're going to tripwire hooks. The tripwire hooks are one of my favorite redstone styles for any reason. So one, they stay pretty clean and subtle, so you don't actually see them. Like I can fly up and I'm just looking around, I don't see anything. If I like purposely highlighting it, but then let's say, yeah, you can barely see it right there. I'm like using amplifying. But the cool thing about tripwire hooks or tripwire strings is that they will go up to 40 blocks, not 15. So they are basically much more quiet, much more subtle redstone blocks. But they need, I think, a little bit more setup than actually redstone. So right here, I'm thinking right here, it's going all the way to that redstone block, and this reached out to 15. Not 15, to 40. I'm used to saying 15 because of redstone. And how tripwire hooks work is this. So when power is connected to it, this turns it into like a redstone block of sorts. So it will power redstone here, 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 here. Anything connected to this block, it will power this under. It will also power directly under the tripwire hook. However, it cannot power anything above it. Sorry guys, it will not trigger anything above it, like so. Or it will, and also if something is right here, because it's not connected to the main. Sorry guys, if something is not connected because it's not connected to the main block, it will not activate as so. So take that to mind when you're actually doing this. Now, the next thing to consider, and then there are buttons too. So buttons work the same way with tripwire hooks, but so nothing right here works under, like so, and but think about so pay attention to setting my buttons. Sorry about that guys, I can't really talk today. So the thing about buttons is that they will activate at different lanes. So what do I mean by that? So just pay attention. So I'm gonna hit the stone button first. 1 Mississippi, 2. There's about 1.5 seconds. Now I'm gonna hit the wooden button, which I'll explain more about wooden buttons in a second. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. It lasted for a bit longer, which actually can come in for help in various things, which I'll explain in a bit. So, but wooden buttons also can be activated by arrows. And because once one arrow is there, it will stay there. Stone buttons cannot. Watch, even if I try. See, look. In fact, they can't even stay on it. So that's how these work. So now we're going to go into, my opinion, one of the most complex things about redstone, and that is the idea of comparators. Now, comparators is this block right here. You might think to yourself, okay, it's just another redstone repeater, and that I say to you, yes, it could be, but also it very much isn't. So it's, I guess, especially to demonstrate is to just demonstrate. So I'll first explain the 3 modes. There is the maintain mode, compare mode, and subtract mode. Now, the maintain mode maintains the signal which is going into the comparator. Let's just get rid of the side, so let's get rid of these side signals for a bit, and I'll tell you a bit. So let's move this closer too. Actually, it's fine. So the first block is power, and there are 15 stages of power. Each redstone dice which goes out, it gets weaker. So by the time it gets to the 15 redstone dust in a row, that's the weakest one. The first one is the strongest one. So let's count how many dusts this is. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 dusts here, and the 4th dust is going into a redstone repeater. And the redstone repeater, that turns into a 4th dust, and outputs of 4th dust here. So now this is the 4th dust. How do we know? So let's count it out. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And as we can see here, it is 15 because this redstone lamp is not being powered, and because of that, we can know that this is outputting 4th dust. So this basically turns into the strength of the dust which is going into it. So now let's consider the subtract mode. Let's turn this off for now. So, and when there's no side signals, having this on or this off won't do anything. So now let's go into compare mode. Now, compare mode is a mode which will compare the signal. So let's say now this side signal, this is important, has right now 5 redstone dust. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this redstone dust has 4. And it's still being powered and it's being cut off here, which means it's right now still maintaining this last mode. So you're probably thinking, okay, so how's it different from maintain mode? It's called compare mode for a reason. So let's say now I flick this piston. Well, big difference. This comparator is just shut off. Even with 2 sides of power coming into it, it's off. What's that for? So now I cut off these blocks here. The strain is now the side signal strain is now stronger than the back signal strain. Because of that, it actually cuts off the back signal strain and will not power this. So let's say you are actually playing a minigame or making a minigame of sorts, and you want to set off redstone, but you need it to also be on at certain points. This is what that's for, and if you want to compare signals and keep it at certain redstone dust too without having excess, then that's what I recommend. Now, finally is subtract mode. Now, in subtract mode, if I flick this lever, I actually need to unflick this piston, because even with subtract mode on and the redstone torch at the end on, as long as this side signal strain is stronger than the back one, you cannot do anything with this comparator. So keep that in mind. So now that that's off, it's in subtract mode. Now everyone here, I'm hoping, can do math if you're watching this video. And so what is its side signal is subtracted by the rear signal. So this signal has 5 dust. This signal has 4 dust. So it's coming out to be 1 dust. How do we know? Because this so if I place a redstone lamp right here, it wouldn't be powered. But if I moved it right here, it is powered. So that's how you know for sure that subtract mode's active. Now, another thing which comes into play is, let's say I flick this again. As we all know, you can't do anything with that. So just keep it. So a side signal, let's say there are 3 side signals. It still doesn't really change much because it doesn't actually add anything. That's why there is no such thing as adding mode when it comes to comparators. Each side signal does not add anything. However, let's turn this back into compare mode. So right now it's maintaining because both are at 5. It doesn't actually add up to be 10. It's just as long as both side signal strengths are weaker than the rear one, it will still go through. But as long as one is stronger, then this time it will still cut it off because one's stronger than the rear one. Subtract mode, it still works the same. They do not add up. As long as the fit one are the same, they will still be considered as if it was just this one alone. Now let's move this one back just a bit, and let's turn this off. And this time it's so even with 6 blocks, so 6 and 4, it should in theory be 2, but because this signal is weaker than this one, now this one gets cut off because it's weaker than that. So as long as one side signal is stronger than the other, that'll be the one which will be subtracted from. If you catch how I worded it, sorry that sounded a little bit complex. On to the next thing. So now you know a whole bunch about comparators, and it took me a whole while to learn that. So if you just learned that right now, I salute you. You're learning at a very quick pace, and I was. So now let's turn this off for a second. So this is a redstone timer of sorts. So without the repeaters being, at repeaters on 1 tick, it's gonna be equivalent to the comparators. So they activate at the exact same time. So now let's actually look at a clock of sorts. So let's first switch these levers. So let's first look at the repeater clock. Now repeater clocks, so this is in a loop. So it's right now in a loop of sorts. Even if I turn it off, what repeaters do is maintain the signal. So regardless if it's off now, because it's in a loop of sorts, it's gonna stay that way unless I break it. So let's just break it right now because I don't really care anymore. So let's wait for that to end. Now comparative clocks act a bit differently. So let me just first demonstrate. So right now they're on, yeah, but now let's turn it off and pay close attention to how it works. As you can see, the signal got weaker and weaker. Why is that? Comparators maintain signal in this mode. So what it means is once it comes around, once this is off, when it comes around, this signal was weaker than this one was because it's coming around from like 2 other dust over here. So basically, when it comes around, it's a weaker signal. So it's going to loop around against a weaker signal. It's coming around against a weaker signal. So it's going to loop around again. It stays on, but eventually you notice that the redstone gets weaker and weaker. So eventually they can't power anymore, and it turns off by itself. So comparator clocks, I've used this myself, and on like making redstone transit stations, which is one of my hobbies in Minecraft. I'll probably show you guys eventually in Kubez Gaming. That's how I usually use like the clocks for the redstone in it, because this turns off automatically. So in the same while this doesn't. So regardless of what you need, if you want something to stay on, but you wanted to like first like the piston, and you want the pistons to come up like all in a row, but not at the same time, you would use this. But if you want them to just come on, but then turn off eventually, you would use this. So now on this topic, let's go look at this. Now these are much longer, as you can see. So I'm gonna push a button right here. As you can see, the button it didn't stay on long enough for it to come around full circle. So now it's going in a loop. It's still coming around weaker, so eventually it will turn off, as you can see. But it will not actually stay on. Now if I did this with the repeaters, it still wouldn't be long enough, as we know, but repeaters maintain and keep that redstone strength. So they'll keep on going indefinitely. So if you want like a loop to like go on for like a few short seconds, you use this one. If you would want a loop to go on indefinitely, you would use this one. And same goes over here. So basically, if you want your clock to stay active, you would have to use the buttons. You would have to use a strain. Sorry about the background noise. You would have to use a power source which would stay on long enough for these to activate. So if I replace them with a wooden button, as so, that one barely didn't make it. But notice the loop is staying on for much longer. So that's another cool thing about loops. The signal will stay on for long enough. If the loop will stay on for much longer than be more spread out like this one was. Let's turn this one off. So now that we got into the main advanced mechanics of Redstone, it's time to get into the It's time to get into the main. Sorry about that, guys. It's time to get into the what can be activated by a redstone other than lamps, because all I've been demonstrating to you guys right now has been lamps. So let's get to that.